So you're refinancing your home, the smiling bank valuer came through your home, and you got screwed. Stay tuned, we're going to tell you why.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes. Myself, Michael BURGIO, Mark Novak, episode 546, all about bank valuations when it comes to purchasing a property, refinancing a property. There's common feedback and consistencies we constantly hear back from buyers, clients, even our own personal experience, where I don't know. They're not always what we thought they would be, especially if you've got a unit in a block, it sells for crazy money. It's the same as yours. And you're like, wow, if that sells for that, I refinance, I can go buy another property. You get your valuer out there, as Mark said in the intro, all smiling. And then when your broker says the valuation came in at X, and you're like, but that's 15% lower than the one just sold. And he goes, yeah, that sucks. And you're like, oh, what's going on? And then you talk to the buyer who bought the one for 15% more, and you say, how was your valuation? He goes, all good, no issues. And you're just like, what's going on here? Mark, is this a one-off? Do we see consistencies of this happening? Why is this happening? Can anything be done? Good morning, everyone. Luke, Ray, good to have you on, Ray. Been a while. Hope you're well.
Hello, beautiful people. I miss you, Ray. You know what? Ray's doing mortgage broking, yeah. So he's a great guy to see, and I hope he agrees with what we're going to say. But
if not, we'll delete him.
If not, we'll just delete his comments. Ray's always very controversial. I'm looking forward to it. Come on, Ray, get those comments going. So there's Burge and everyone. You've got to admit there's three styles of valuation. There's three types of valuation. And the reason this is such a painful process is you've actually made this money. So if you put the property on the market to sell, you will get that good money for the property. So like that example you just gave of that one in the building that sells, say a two-bedroom unit just got 1.2 million in your block. And you're going, Jesus, I bought mine for 800,000. That's great. You go to get a valuation comes in at $1 million or $1.1 million, and you're going, mate, the identical one just sold for 1.2. Why does this happen? And it's because there's three different grades or styles of valuations that get done that nobody's going to tell you about.
Yeah, and we look at it as your purchase price at market. So the three are on exchange. As Ray says, valuations mostly come back at purchase price, and 100% agree with that when it goes to market. But where we see sometimes different vals on what we agree with, what market could be, especially if there's a very similar sale, can be when you're refinancing the property. Because let's face it, an extra 100 grand on a valuation could be an 80 grand deposit. It's insane. It almost feels like free money, but you can't get it. Like, yes, you could sell and get that money, but you don't want to sell. So unless that val comes in, you can't get it. So that's number two. You're refinancing with the same bank. And then
we can agree with what Ray's saying. We can agree with example one. If you buy a property in the open market, the odds are the bank valuer will handshake that purchase price. We all agree on that. So that's number one. Which one's number two? Valuation.
Refinancing valuation.
With the same bank or a different bank? Because they're different.
Same bank.
Same bank.
And then number three is changing banks, changing loan, and basically refinancing with a different bank. Sometimes you may set a target of, if I'll go with a new loan, new rate. If you can refinance, you need this price so you can achieve this second purchase. And I think more like I've had clients, they refinance with one bank, the VAL comes in at next, then they do a new bank refinance. That because that broker does sometimes get a brief of the scenario, or they're in contact with the broker or even the owner when they meet at the property. So 100%. I don't know, it just feels sometimes a little different. We get that there are different brokers each along the way, but as I've got a few buddies who are brokers, they do get orders on what to do. Like I remember 2018, I think it was 19, with Off the Plan. We got hammered because we had 2 developments settling, and my mate, who was a broker at a very large valuer at a very large firm, they basically said all vows are 10 to 20% under whatever you think it's worth. Like that was an internal message going out. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's something similar, because you got to remember these banks feed so much work to their chosen valuers. So obviously what we're saying, none of it's like official 1, 2, 3 categories, but this is sort of what we're seeing.
And guys, this is not an attack on brokers. This is just the cold, hard truth of how this world works. So it's not, you got me onto brokers. It's not a attack on bank valuers. It's just the sobering, bloody truth. One, if you buy a property, the valuer will generally handshake that value the property at what you're buying it for, the contract price. And now, if I have to grade it, as in getting more money from the bank, number 2 would be a valuation with another new bank. So you're currently with, say, St. George, and you're going to swing to ANZ, you would generally get a better valuation than staying with the existing bank. Fact. So number 3, if you stay with the existing bank, your valuation is going to stink.
Yeah, and there's many reasons for this as well, which aren't like not malicious, like that type of way. It's like if you look at it from a valuer's point of view, they're predicting what it's worth, what it would sell for. When a property is just sold, regardless of how high it is or how crazy it is, someone's agreed to pay it. So it's easy for them to say if they were questioned about the vow, because put yourself in their shoes. If they were questioned about it, going, well, do you think it would sell for that price? Well, yeah, someone just bought it. I spoke with the agent, he had 3 buyers on it, blah, blah, blah. Easy. Now, when it comes to, as Ray says, refinancing is conservative, because the valuer, if shit hits the fan and the bank can't resell it for what they've put on the price, then it's sort of all the blame goes to them. They feel exposed. They don't have that layer to say, well, someone bought it at that, because nothing may have sold very similar, and they feel like they're on the hook. I don't know if there's any legal liability besides maybe a bad reputation. Like within reason.
And the best way, girls, is they are managing risk. On the second grade of valuation, which is a refinance with the same bank, or on the third grade of valuation, which is a refinance with a different bank, the valuer is now managing risk for the new or the existing bank. When the valuer is valuing it at a purchase price, they have gotten rid of a lot of risk, because it's gone to market and established a price. So they're really taking a bigger risk when they're valuing you with the current bank, or they're valuing you to go to a new bank. That value is taking a lot of risk, so they're going to be conservative with your price.
And that buyer's just gone through the full pre-approval, all that stuff, so they know their information is accurate and correct, and it's potentially a new loan. When you think of it just normal business, saying where people treat new clients better than existing, it really applies to this, because the bank's view on a new...
That's well said. Well said.
When a bank looks at the new purchase, it's a new client, it's a new loan, they want it. So if like, we're not talking about being malicious, like it's worth 800 grand, you value it at 2 million. But basically any broker so any valuer on an 800K purchase could value it at 750, like there is no skin off their nose within that percentage. But to a buyer or to get money out, it's a huge difference, that 5%. But with a refinance, they've already got the client. So if you're tossing up, should we do it? Should we not? Oh, we've already got the loan. No, why take any more extra risk? So there's that way with a refinance, new loan, new client. Where does it have to be? Like any typical sales, I think inherently will play a role in that sort of decision making.
Okay, so before we go, guys and girls, remember there's 3 styles of valuation. One is going to be the property purchase. When you've purchased it, they are going to be pretty optimistic. They're going to shake the hand of what you bought it for. It's going to be a good valuation. The second valuation, which is going to get you the most amount of money, is switching your bank, because they're going to fight for your business. They're going to give you a bit of a cheekier, better valuation than normal. If you are valuing with the existing bank, get ready to take a haircut. You are going to get hit pretty hard. So I guess the takeaway from what we're talking about today is if you can switch to a new bank when you're refinancing, your odds are better from experience. Now, this isn't financial advice. This is just what I see with my experience whenever I've gotten a valuation, and I've gotten a hell of a lot of valuations in my life, and I've witnessed a hell of a lot with clients, thousands. And it's always the common denominator when I watch this happen.
Yeah, and it just brings perspective to people out there who may be wondering. So, like, they're scenarios. Take it with what you can plan for it as well. So, but yeah, I think that sort of covers it. Anything else you want to add? Because valuations, you do it right, it can mean the world of difference. It can be the difference of you leverage. Anyone successful in property tells you it's about leverage. You save up your first deposit, you buy, you let the property value go up, which is great if you see stuff selling. But unless you got that val, it's useless to you. You get the higher val. You may only have 40% equity. You pull out 20%. You buy another property and you repeat that over the years, over the decades. And that's how we see a lot of people get very successful through property. But if you keep getting, Mark, how easy is it for a valuer to be 10% conservative on your vow? And that may take you 1 or 2 years to get that growth. So the value is not even giving you the growth that you need. So sometimes you should be changing every year or two so they will look at the new market value. Like a lot of people right now, there's 50% growth in some areas. You know you'll get it if you sell, so you may have to leverage it because
So, and the reason, and people, maybe some people watching today saying, why is it so important to get a good valuation in your property? Why is it so important? Is it's your money tied up in your property. And if you want to access your money tied up in your property, you need a market valuation
to recognize
if your valuation comes to pull out the money, to use your money if you want to use your money. So it could be the difference between you buying your next property, dream property, or not, depending on how tight that valuation comes in. So just remember, if you need to get a valuation, switch your bank. You'll not only get a better interest rate, but you'll also get a better valuation as opposed to sticking with the guys that you're with.
That's a wrap. Thank you, everyone.
Giddy up. See you, everyone. Take care.